Should I start, ma'am?
Yeah, Anchita. Yeah.
Okay, so once again, a very good morning to everyone, to all the eminent professors and eminent guests over here. On behalf of West Institute of Management, I, Assistant Professor Vanchita Chelawat, welcomes you all in this day 4 of FDP on Social Business Management in association with Research for Resurgence Foundation. Without wasting much time with your kind presence, I take this opportunity to start today's session. With the wave of pandemic around the world, while we have learned many a things in our personal and professional lives, we also have witnessed how our education system have transformed within just a few months. We are seeing the changes which we aspired for and which was happening too, but on a slow speed with lots of speed breakers. But now suddenly everything is changing. And in order to keep the pace with this change, it is very much required to bring changes in our curriculum. And to discuss about these changes required in designing the course curriculum, the teaching pedagogies for social entrepreneurship or social enterprise curriculum for PG and PhD students, we have our eminent guests who are there with us, who will be discussing and taking us to this journey of how we can implement this change in our course and curriculum. So I'll take this opportunity, I take this privilege to introduce you all with our eminent panelists for today's session. To start with, I would like to introduce respected Dr. Ashish Pandey sir, who is currently an associate professor in management area at Shailesh J. Mehta School of Management at Indian Institute of Technology, Mumbai. Having 15 years of working experience in industry and in management, research and development, he teaches courses related to leadership, organization development, and change and human resource management. Before joining this institute, he was leading research and development function at Pragati Leadership Institute, a Pune-based consulting organization which works in the area of organization and leadership development. He has been involved in training and consulting work in the area of people development. His major training and consulting assignments had been with corporate and educational institutions. On the corporate side, his long-term consulting engagement has been with Adore Welding, Axis Bank, ACG Worldwide, and the list is never ending. So he is also a doctoral fellow of Management Development Institute, Gurgaon, India, and his research papers, inventory, and approach notes have appeared in several leading national and international journals and periodicals. But some of these known periodicals includes Annual of Training and Consulting, Journal of European Industrial Training, Journal of Business Ethics, and so forth. So far, he has almost published almost more than 24 publications in his name. To introduce our next guest for today's session is Dr. Archana Singh. She is an assistant professor at Center of Social Enterprise, School of Management and Labor Studies, TIS, Mumbai. She is also the program conveyor for the program Masters in Social Entrepreneurship at CSE. She primarily teaches social entrepreneurship, CSR, social sector perspective and interventions, quality research, and social value creation and social innovation. She also conducts capacity building workshops for the research scholars and faculties of the other universities. In 2013, she joined CSE as an assistant professor just before submitting her PhD thesis, and she's studying social entrepreneurship as a part of her PhD research at TIS Mumbai. Prior to her academic career, she worked intensively in the development sector both in urban and rural areas on diverse issues, social issues such as women empowerment, women SHGs, AIDS awareness about sex workers, etc. In 2016, she visited Kansas State University, Georgia, Atlanta, to teach social entrepreneurship and social venture creation to the master's students over there. She has even published several papers in reputed international journals and chapters in edited book. In 2016, she published her book titled The Process of Social Value Creation, a multiple case study on social entrepreneurship in India, and Springer. Her research interests are social entrepreneurship, social value, social change, women empowerment, CSR, social work, and so forth. As a part of CSE team, she has completed the project of 1 year certification program in social entrepreneurship through web mode on 1st November 2015 in collaboration with University of Essex, UK. The project was funded by British Council as a part of CSE team. She has even conducted benchmark study on best CSR practices in India. The next guest and the panelist for today's session is Dr. Ellis Ganesh. He's a graduate. He has graduated in BE program in mechanical engineering from BITS Pilani, and done his MTech degree in maintenance engineering and management at a merit prize from an Indian Institute of Technology, Madras. During 1980-84, he pursued the doctoral research program in the Industrial Engineering and Management faculty at IIT Madras. His research work involved in the application of time series, forecasting models, and system dynamics concept to educational planning in Tamil Nadu school. He received the PhD degree in 1986, and he worked as an assistant professor uh, in the management sector at the Indian Institute of Management, Bangalore, during 1986 and 87. Since 1987, he worked in the Industrial Engineering and Management faculty at IIT Madras as an assistant professor till 1993, then as associate professor till December 1996, and then as a professor till April 2004 when the Department of Management Studies was established in institute. Later, he served as a head of Department of Management Studies at IIT Madras from July 2004. In this role, he coordinated the location and development of the complete academic, laboratory, offices, and utilities infrastructure for the new premises of the department. He also coordinated the establishment of strategic academic relationship through MOUs between IIT Madras and leading national and multinational institutions. So far, if I could talk about the publication in the journals, he has the quantum of publication with more than 43 publications so far. As a moderator for the today's session, I would like to also introduce our respected Sandeep Bharadwaj sir. He's the director in charge at West Business School. He has the right mix of industry and academic experience, having worked in various managerial positions in corporates for more than 17 years and in academics for more than 12 years. His area of specialization is marketing, and he has been inspiring future marketers by teaching various subjects in marketing domain. At the core, he is a people's person, which makes him an ideal to be a part of teams and lead them. He successfully manages the intellectual resources at WESM, ensuring the objectives of the programs are met to the complete satisfaction of the students through the efforts of the teaching staff. So without wasting much time, I would like to invite all our panelists to give us the rich insights about the session. So over to you also. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Anshita. I welcome all the respected panel members. Before I begin, I should give a hearty congratulations to the organizers. I think this has been a very successful 3 days, and we look forward to 2 more days of the same. I think it was like a capsule of entire social entrepreneurship, which we digested, and believe me, I never imagined there are so many aspects to social entrepreneurship which got discussed in these 3 days. Particularly the session by Mohammad Yunus sir, I think that was mind blowing. So, given all these, I hope the next 2 days also would be as interactive. And I was telling Nisha madam that the best thing was that people are actually engaging with each other, and which is a good thing about any FDP, which can be termed as successful. So, having said that, let's get the ball rolling, and I would request all the members to speak for a few words few words about teaching. Okay, I will just put it in double quotes: teaching social entrepreneurship. We all understand social entrepreneurship, but it's a kind of another door that is opening to the future generations. So, having said that, question is, can entrepreneurship be taught? is a very big question. And then secondly, can social entrepreneurship be taught is another another complexity added to it. So before we actually begin, I would request all the members to uh, give a small brief on what they think about teaching social entrepreneurship. Shall we begin with Ashish sir? So your mic is muted.
Thanks very much, Professor Bharadwaj, and nice to connect on this forum with Dr. Archana Singh and Professor L.S. Ganesh. Uh, uh, Good that you are asking me before Professor Ganesh and Professor Archana Singh, because both of them know much more about the social entrepreneurship than I will probably ever know in my in at least in the foreseeable future. This panel is special because I must share that a scholarship uh, of social entrepreneurship is very important, and uh, all scholarship will start with teaching. And if a scholarship starts with teaching, the similar question probably would have been asked. Professor Sandeep Bharadwaj is in the field of marketing. So probably the similar question would have been asked 60 years ago or 70 years ago about, can you teach positioning, or can you teach segmentation, or can someone be taught leadership? But we know that leadership development is a billion-dollar industry, and people uh, people report major shifts in their attitude and behavior. So yes, I firmly believe that entrepreneurship can be taught. Uh, I'm reminded of Buddhist wisdom tradition. Buddha probably was the first most well-known master in the world who said that even compassion can be taught. Means before before Buddha, people thought that okay, you have it or you don't have it. But then Buddha said that, explained and demonstrated that we have learned anger, probably subconsciously. So we can unlearn that and can learn compassion consciously. So I think in the same vein, I can say that leadership can certainly be taught, and social entrepreneurship can certainly be taught, because it is based on certain values as well as skill. Skill can be developed and values can be inculcated. Most of us has those values of compassion, concern, making difference to the world, finding we all have urge for seeking meaning and purpose in our life, and making positive difference to the world. But when students come to know about it in a systematic way, through case studies, through interactions, through field visits, uh, those uh, the seeds of those values can be germinated, and we can systematically nurture that skill as well as attitude in the due course. So maybe during this session you will certainly get to know how that process can be done. But to begin with, I must say that yeah, uh, that can be done, and it is a matter of conscious effort, and we can teach certainly.
Thank you, sir. Professor Ganesh, could you begin with your introductory remarks?
Sure. Thank you. Thank you. First, let me thank the organizers and Nisha for having contacted me and put me into this panel discussion. And I will also name a few institutions which I believe have done very well. All of us know that one of the foremost institutions in India involved in
I think network problem.
social entrepreneurship is Tata Institute of Social Innovation, Social Initiatives and Management in Chennai. Is there a, yeah, I think that I lost my connection a couple of times. So I don't know what's happening. I'm a person who has always stated avoid technology whenever you can. but that doesn't work that way. Unfortunately, we have to necessarily, fall back on technology. So I'll do my best. This is beyond my control. Of course, the bandwidth is beyond my control. That's why I thought at least I will cut off my video. Please bear with me. That will save a little bit of an amount of bandwidth at least. Okay.
Yeah, I think that may be helpful.
So, yeah. And I was talking about Tata Institute of Social Sciences and a very good work. There are full programs on social entrepreneurship, research programs also. Archana herself has been groomed in Tata Institute of Social Sciences. I've had a good association with the work, respect for the kind of insights she could share. I was talking about Center for Social Initiatives and Management in Chennai. They have done many programs, certification programs, and they have done quite well, because I know they've spawned dozens of young social entrepreneurs in their own, enjoying their own spheres of success. The term sphere of success is a very important term in entrepreneurship in general and social entrepreneurship also. Because the moment you talk of entrepreneurship and social entrepreneurship, people should not imagine huge success stories internationally or nationally, which are exceptional. We are talking of people who have enjoyed their sphere of success, who have a lot of reputation and character in their own space, and that's important. So CSIM has done well. I'm also aware of Hand in Hand, another organization here located in Tamil Nadu. I'm talking of those who I know. Obviously, please forgive me. I'm quite ignorant of many other organizations, so I would be very happy to learn about them. They've also done very well. They have their own outlet near Kanchipuram, and they train their work. They have also enjoyed this initiative on social entrepreneurship in 2007, and we began with what we call a minor stream. I'll very briefly tell you about this. Sequential courses. The first course is an introduction to social enterprise in India. The second course is on product design. Used to do field work or work in what we call the Center for Innovation and develop a prototype of product, actually. So students could choose one of these two. Because of the limitations of space, we couldn't take more than 30 students in any year into this program. But I'm very happy that 2 or 3 of these students have gone on to do very well and founded their own social enterprises. And they're doing pretty well, I would put it that. Okay. Then the course on social enterprises, because I'm coming to teaching, pedagogy, and the curriculum. The curriculum consists of 4 parts. Okay? The first part is a conceptual part, where we start with the idea of value creation, value development, value distribution, value control, and so on. And that's purely conceptual. And we talk of 3 pillars of value: existential value, experiential value, and economic value. And the second part consists of interactions with entrepreneurs, social entrepreneurs. Every batch we bring in about 10 or 12 practicing social entrepreneurs, very, very well-known people who come and interact with the students. And I think we can all understand why that is important, because it plays a significant role in forming the character of the student who is listening to them. And it has influenced people also. Then the third part is every batch is given about 10 case studies during the course. By the way, the course lasts for 60 hours during the semester. 60 hours during the semester. Okay. And it's a 4 old credits was 4 credits. Okay. That means we meet 4 times a week over 15 weeks, to put it that way. And the case studies have to be solved in groups. And the last component is a field visit. We take them on 2 field visits in and near Chennai. A couple of years we did manage to take them even outside Chennai, a little far away into beyond Coimbatore and so on. So that, as Ashish correctly pointed out earlier, it has a very good impact on the students, direct experience of social entrepreneurship and what happens. So this is what we have done. We also have an MS entrepreneurship program, which is a research-based program. And we've had a couple of very good social entrepreneurs coming out of that. One is the well-known firm Ecologin, which runs out of Bangalore. You know, now they have branched off into forest produce and helping the rural communities. But I must also share something interesting. Their firm was based on the idea of these two founders of the firm, Arul and I think Sridhar, one from IIM Ahmedabad and the other from IIT Madras. They visited the Western Ghats and mastered the tribal community cultures there over a period of 2.5 years. You know, obviously they did a hell of a lot of homework in this. And then they struck relationships with these communities and trained them on tourism. And their principle was, we'll give our customers absolutely unbelievable exotic experiences. Ordinarily, which means they will not get on a tourist circuit. I think you got that principle. And people loved that actually. Later, of course, the company moved out. But what happened was, after gaining the training over a 1.5 years, these two young men observed that the young people who got training preferred to move to the city rather than stay on and protect their community. So that kind of transformation started happening. So the company moved out. Another one is in the agriculture space, where there's a technology input on soil properties measurement, moisture, sodium, phosphate, nitrogen, whatever it is. So that has also done well, because that young man, Shaktivel, got the national award also for his technology. So these are the two broad streams concerning social entrepreneurship IIT Madras has done. One is courses, the other is research. I'll stop with this for now. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Ganesh. I'll move on to Dr. Archana. Archana, madam, your introductory remarks, please.
So first, good morning, everyone. And I would first like to thank Dr. Nisha Pandey to giving me this opportunity to share this stage with Professor Ashish and Professor L.S. Ganesh. And I'm very happy to be here because I want to mention here first that Professor L.S. Ganesh, he was my in Viva panel for my evaluating my PhD. So I'm really very happy to be here with him. Regarding social entrepreneurship education, like your question, sir, I believe social entrepreneurship can be taught, And when I'm saying that social entrepreneurship can be taught, I see the success of teaching social entrepreneurship differently. When I'm saying the success of teaching social entrepreneurship, I don't see success in terms of that if I am teaching social entrepreneurship to 30 students, all of them will start the venture. It is not possible. But I see that even if my students, they join any organization, whether it is in the voluntary sector or the corporate sector, or even the government department, and if they are using the entrepreneurial way of solving the social problem, that is my success. That is the success of teaching social entrepreneurship. So I would not see success, I would not measure the success of teaching social entrepreneurship in terms of how many ventures are created. Definitely that is one of the important aspects. But venture creation is something that we cannot force. We can teach the skills of social entrepreneurship, but it is their career decision. So we cannot force that, I believe. But I am teaching, I have been attached with Center for Social Entrepreneurship since 2013, and we have incubation center also. So till date, as per my knowledge, we have produced 42 ventures, and many of them are successful and many of them have failed also. When I'm talking about failure, I'm not talking that, okay, if they have stopped working on the same cause, they will not start again. So again, the defining failure in context of social entrepreneurship is very difficult. But when I see my students, in fact, I conducted a small research on my alumni, the Center for Social Entrepreneurship, who have not started the venture. But very interestingly, I was surprised also that the social entrepreneurship education changed their mindset. And that is the success, because they changed their whole career choice. and sometimes the career preference. Earlier, in fact, many of the students, they came from earlier working with TCS, Infosys, they left their job and joined our course. So earlier they were, in the role of coding and doing all these things. But now they have joined CSR department in the same company and using their entrepreneurship skills that they have learned here to create more and more impact. I see success in that also. So success is not something that everybody has to start venture. Even if I am teaching today social entrepreneurship, I am also working. I'm not an entrepreneur. So how can I expect from all my students to start their venture? But yes, what I believe that each and every sector have limited resources. And these limited resources should be used and utilized very innovatively, creatively, using the entrepreneurial process. And if my students, after getting education in social entrepreneurship, are able to do it, that is success. So I teach social entrepreneurship in this Hyderabad campus also, and the students are the course is MA in Rural Development and Governance. So the intention, the goal of that program is not to start their own venture. So all of them, they are joining mostly the government department on the different projects. And I get to know many of the students after passing from there, they are in contact with me and they are sharing their experiences, how the social entrepreneurship knowledge and skills are helping them. So the entrepreneurial process is same. Social entrepreneurship as an approach is equally useful for those who are interested in creating social change, whether they are working for corporate sector, government sector, or the voluntary sector. That is my take on it. So definitely it can be taught, but whether to start the venture or not to start, it is up to the students. And I see success in that.
Excellent. Fantastic, madam. That brings me to the next question, and the keyword came from you is the mindset. So, is it really the mindset? I mean, for example, social entrepreneurship gives an image of very cause-obsessed people who are the Jhola types. They work for the downtrodden and so on and so forth. But I compare this with the glitter and glamour of the corporate world. So, how do we target the students, or are we using the marketing language, or are some students specifically made for these kind of courses? So how do we attract the so-called millennials to courses like these? I will start with Archana madam again. So let's go reverse order this time.
Can you repeat your question? I didn't get your point.
So the question broadly is that the comparison between a corporate sector job as versus a social entrepreneurship job, a social entrepreneurship course. So today, a student comes to an institute to get a job in the corporate sector. How is it that we attract the students towards the social entrepreneurship as a course?
Yeah. See, what I think, the aspiration of student, it matters. What is the aspiration? And when I'm talking about aspiration of the candidates, when we attack the, the candidates towards our program, aspiration is again, it is formed based on so many factors. So I cannot pinpoint on one of the things. But in fact, I was just conducting, I'm in the process of conducting this research where I am studying my own students. What attracts them to come to the Center for Social Entrepreneurship?
Yeah.
Especially when many of them, they are working with very, good, they're earning very good income and working with reputed organization like IBM and so thing. And they just suddenly they left, and then why? Because this is the only program, social entrepreneurship in TISS, where we don't have placement policy. This is the policy, that we have decided for the center. So this is the exception of all the programs available in, we have 39 programs in TISS, But this is, I mean, social entrepreneurship is the only program where we don't have any placement policy. Then it is again risk involved. Why the students who are already working with a reputed company, earning well, why they come to attend this girl where there is no guarantee of, there is no placement, and also in incubation center we don't provide any funding. I mean, earlier we used to do it, but now we don't. We are only providing the mentoring support. So this is really very interesting point that you asked. So even I am also exploring the answer. What is the reason? Was it what is this? So here, that's why I am focusing on aspiration. So aspiration is very, very important. When I started interviewing my own student, and especially I'm collecting data from the first year students, very recent, because after first semester, then their whole mindset would start changing because of the context, the exposure, the social entrepreneurship learning. But I want to know what if, when they are just afresh without being influenced by anything, what is there. So many of them, they said, even I too, it is satisfaction. Many of them who are working with the companies like TCS and Infosys, and especially in the role of coder, they said there is no scope of creativity and innovation. So they don't like doing the same kind of job. For many, they also mentioned, I want to be popular. I want to be popular, because they said entrepreneurs, the traditional entrepreneurs, may earn more money than social entrepreneur. But if you are successful social entrepreneur, you will get more popularity than the established entrepreneur. So that is also, I mean, I was surprised. What is this that attracts these young men? And sometimes the new, I want to do something new, something new. So, and many of the students also come to just explore. कि this social entrepreneurship is new, let's explore. देखते हैं हम कुछ कर पाते हैं कि नहीं. So they just come to explore what it is. And definitely, like Professor Ganesh also mentioned, that not everybody can start venture. And see, our intake is 32 per batch. But I think not more than 3, 4, or 5 start venture, not more than that. But mostly they definitely, I have observed that it has significant influence on their mindset. They develop the entrepreneurial skills, they develop the empathy towards society. Empathy is very, very important. Even if you are working for corporate, but then also that empathy is very much important. Then only you can contribute to make significant social change. So I think I would not say that any single reason, because of the single reason they come to attend, I mean, pursue this course, but there are multiple reasons, the combination of all these.
Thank you. Thank you. Professor Ganesh, Archana Madam brought up a very interesting thing about aspiration. What's been your experience about aspirations, the students that you have seen? So, do they come with this aspiration of I want to do something, I want to do something different, or do they come with this, I want to make some money out of this? How does this work out? So,
It's been a mixed experience as far as my observations go.
right.
I found a handful of students who are very serious with this whole experience of social entrepreneurship, are absolutely committed and verifiably committed to the work that they want to do. We have the people who are more exploring in nature. They just want to discover what it is about, and maybe they'll make they'll sort of orient themselves with time, So I have come across people who have emerged as social entrepreneurs, have joined social entrepreneurial organizations, if not as social entrepreneurs, as officers. So at least that's a support which they are giving. Of course, there are people who drop off completely also. I've also had in IITs, we know, I'm sure my friends will agree, we have some students who come for grades, not for learning. Okay. So they feel this is a cool course and it's okay. I'll get some grade and go on. I have to complete so many courses in my minor stream. So I'll just do it as a ritual and get along. And then, of course, we have the last set where the institute sometimes forces 1 or 2 students who otherwise would not get their degrees, so they come into the course. But this is the variety. It's okay, sir. I think ultimately everybody goes through their experiences in life. They learn something. The point is to what extent are we aligned with the purpose? And very often we have to question, are we clear about the purpose of our actions? So this is what we call as, in the context of the social enterprise, we call it as the social mission. How strongly are you aligned with your social mission? So the formulation of the mission itself is a very major thing. So if you ask me whether people are naturally attracted to social entrepreneurship, the answer is actually, you would have got it, Dr. Bharadwaj. It's yes and no, because you get both types of, you have all varieties coming in, But ultimately, I would agree with Archana that my mental model of what she said is, there are different contexts and stages of success. So starting an enterprise is one context and one stage. There are other contexts and other stages. Of course, enjoying a reputation and, for example, being able to get huge funding, etc., is another level. But that's okay. I think ultimately we are all people who value the integrity, the professional integrity of the practitioner. That's very, very critical. And in social entrepreneurship, I would believe one of the fundamental values is that of compassion. Basically. I would say it's a foundational value. And I said that because very often we must understand that the ultimate beneficiaries of social entrepreneurship, somebody benefits, okay, by receiving the value. That is verifiable. You can see that somebody receives the value of the social enterprise. And in some sense, the beneficiaries. There are very interesting examples. I'm stating this because it has a tie-up with the curriculum also and the pedagogy. The beneficiary may not be a human being. Okay. For example, if you come across some social enterprises, they are focused on, say, the animal world. And I've come across a couple of social enterprises which are focused on ecosystems. Yes, eventually human being benefits, we agree, but they are not directly in line. So the ecosystem may benefit by rejuvenated health of the ecosystem, or rejuvenated, the quality of water in some place. I've seen these kinds of enterprises also doing very good work. So ultimately, your question is a good question. We can only project the kind of outcomes that have happened, that can be observed, and people can go through a direct observation of the work of a social enterprise or a social entrepreneurial venture, and then take a call, whether they are attracted or not. See, I'll close with an example. I've been associated with music during my student days, but I can tell you, even all students don't align with the same form of music. We know that. There are students who will be aligned totally to Hindustani music or Carnatic classical music. They'll never turn the way of Western rock music. There are others who will not turn the way to classical music. So you will have a variety, Dr. Bharadwaj. We have to recognize that variety and use our senses and our sensitivity to identify potential talent and character and groom them. This is possible. This is what I would suggest. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Ganesh sir. Ashish sir, your views on this?
Thanks for asking this question, because most of us who are participating in this program are also not very fortunate or not have been so much involved as Dr. Singh and Professor Ganesh has been on the social entrepreneurship space. Most of us are passionate about this. We are recognizing the importance of it, and most of us are exploring how we can integrate that in the so-called mainstream. Mainstream is a social construction. I think social entrepreneurship is the mainstream, because the future of the planet lies in being responsible, doesn't lie being zazzy and just marketing and then creating only economic value. Means
I'll just interrupt you, sir. I'll just interrupt you. I think you have given a slogan for this entire FDP. Social entrepreneurship is the mainstream, actually. Amazing.
So, because uh, 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 so I think it is important. I will share a couple of incidences and examples, and then I hope to integrate that in next 2-3 minutes. Number one, in 2005, I did a small study, means it was published, the values audit of MBA students. So I was interested in, and that time I was in MDI, and MDI was like one of the top 4 or 5 institutions, and they have already grown, and international program and HR program and the general management program all had started. We did I did this under the with my Professor Poonam Sehgal. So we did a values audit to understand what is the value system of MBA students. And so using the Rokich values scale, and we use the multidimensional scaling to understand where the value system is placed. And the accomplishment and ambition, first, those were the first terminal and instrumental value, followed by a happy life, comfortable life. You might be surprised to know that social recognition and compassion and wisdom were the least preferred values. So this is in the public domain. In Indian Journal of Training and Development, they published this study, 2006. If I conduct similar study today, though I haven't conducted, but in this conversation now I am feeling motivated to do the similar study, I am quite hopeful that social recognition, concern, compassion will feature much above as they featured in 2004, 2005. So there is a recognition that corporate market mechanism is not the answer to all the questions of life. And we need to look at our role in a more holistic way. The role of business has to be understood in a more holistic way. So that's how I'll say, yeah, we need to recognize that millennials are little more, the current generation after 15 years, I think people are more responsible. They are more concerned about the social and natural environment. So they will be more, they are probably more ready to pick up the ideas of the social entrepreneurship. How I have been trying to do that in last few years, my entry into the organization in the social entrepreneurship field is more through the route of the organization development. So I teach organization development and management of change. And when you teach management of change and organization development, we ask questions. Okay, what is the basis of what? So culture is the basis of values, and the processes are the based of are on the base of learning and all that. So when we looked at ultimate question about organization development and change is what is a business theory and business model. So if that is the ultimate change, where ultimate pedestal on which the change is required. That is business theory and business model. And that has to be socially conscious. That has to integrate the social consciousness into it. That has to factor into the social value, which Professor Ganesh is talking about. So because of this recognition, in the first 2-3 sessions, I talk about the social entrepreneurship, the social businesses. So I teach more social businesses and how the social logic and logic of responsibility has to be integrated. And that's how the new business models are coming up, by including the institutional logic of the society, of community, of the environment into the businesses. And so, yes, the influence had, all my students actually joined the corporate, but they cannot remain unaffected. And they look out for the opportunity to express their, one tangible thing happened was after this course, a club was formed in the school, which was more into the social service. So this was one thing. Our students, many of the participants might have visited this Aim to Flourish website. hosted in the Case Western University, aim to flourish center, and at least 4 or 5 dozen case studies are being contributed by my students in that on that portal. Quite a few have them got recognition awards. The case studies were recognized. So that's the influence process, which is very important. And that conversation, so that conversation gets into the in their mind, and they bring that conversation in the corporate life. One example I'll give: in 2011 and 12, when CSR was first time made mandatory, we used to do open program for on the CSR, and the executives from the corporate world used to join because they were trying to figure out how to do it according to the legal requirement, etc. In one of such programs, a student came. That time he was with IOC, Indian Oil Corporation, very young professional from Indore, was interested in the CSR. He also later on became very active in the Teach for India. So he became volunteer there. After the program, he joined what an MBA program. And so Teach for India and CSR and his involvement made a significant part in his letter of recommendation. And this person joined though McKinsey, but when McKinsey started a very big project, I think it's a 500 crore worth project of the skill development in India, he was sent by McKinsey to head that project. So I see that's how the social entrepreneurship and social consciousness, when it is built in the management students, and that can flourish in many ways, even in their corporate roles. That's one. And that was number two. And number one thing is that, yeah, the current generation is probably more conscious and more responsible. So they are probably more ready for this kind of thing.
I just, if you permit me, Sandeep sir, I want to
Yes,
add
ma'am.
what
Surely,
Professor
surely.
Ashish Pandey has raised, very important point. In fact, at the center, Professor Majumdar, Samapti ma'am, and we are just discussing. We are very eagerly hoping for the day when the social enterprise is not needed. Why would we need a separate category of organization if all the businesses have become so responsible? So
Absolutely.
that is why we want that we should be disappeared in coming futures. That is our success actually.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So we don't need social entrepreneurship. We will not require a separate category of social enterprise. Why? These days it is required because there is a gap. All the businesses are not responsible environmentally and for society. If they are following the sustainable organization, they are contributing towards sustainable development, taking care of all type of environmental value, social value, and the economic value, we are not needed then. So that is the success.
Archana, if I can add something, that Kailash Satyarthi, Nobel Prize winner, he said there is no need to doing business and doing good. There is no need to separate both these things.
Yeah,
So
we agree. We strongly agree that.
Yeah, so both the things can be done together.
As much both of you agree, and I recognize that my Nisha has been my influence to get me into the social entrepreneurship. As much you agree on the point, I disagree on this.
Okay.
Why so? Because, you know, there will always be some people and some organization who will be giving back money to their shareholders more. So one of the definitions of which I like about, I like the definition of and distinction which Professor Yunus has clarified, distinction Professor Yunus has made, that social enterprise is the one which doesn't plow back money to the shareholders, it gives back to society. I don't see it happening all the time with all the firms. Some firms will plowing back money to the shareholders. However, in presence of so many entrepreneurs and the reputation, their reputation, and what in the institutional theory is called legitimacy, that will not be so blatant. they will be doing it more responsible. So
There should
that
be
shade will always be there. So that will keep
a section made.
both the
Yeah, that's why
people interested and keep getting into the debate about what is.
Professor
All
Yunus
right.
always distinct with
Yeah.
entrepreneurship
Can I
and
share
business.
one thing?
If you talk about the social entrepreneurship, he will say, no, this is not my area. My area is social business.
Yes, social business. Yeah.
Yeah, so he
Can
will
I-
say, no, I am not expert in social entrepreneurship.
Can
So
I
he
pitch
has
in
very
a
clear
minute?
instruction.
Can I
Yes,
pitch in for a
yes, yes,
second?
yes, madam. Tell.
Yeah, you know what, just now I would just like to clarify that, you know, social enterprise, if it's a profit making for profit and it can be a registered company doing good business, then shareholders will be given their dividends, you know, their due. It's only if it is registered as a not for profit organization
Yes.
on section 8, then only it has to plow back. Otherwise there is no, it can be like
Yeah.
any other business. And Tatas have been one example, and we do have small businesses. Vaitarna has been an entrepreneur, but I'm a proprietor. So far it's not registered that way as a section 8 company or whatever. So
Yeah.
we can do anything good in the name of whatever we are doing. That's it. If it's the intentions are there. Thanks.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. In fact, now that you said this, the name Tata's, I have worked 14 years for Tata companies, different Tata companies. And the only thing that we were, I mean, the way it has been inculcated in each and every employee there is like, you know, you have to give back to the society what you earn. I mean, many times over. That is what was the vision of Jamshedji Tata to begin with, and that is how it works. And yeah, so coming back to the teaching part of entrepreneur for social entrepreneurship is one is who are the stakeholders? Okay, so that you know how do we actually structure these programs? What is the program objective of a particular course on teaching social entrepreneurship? What are the program objectives, and who are the stakeholders we should involve so that we can actually design those program objectives properly? So can I begin with Ashish, sir?
I will say these because I have been involved in small, I will be sharing two examples. One is the Tata Center in IIT Bombay. That is basically a funding platform for different ventures. And in that, the emphasis on socially conscious, socially responsible, socially conscious innovation. So basically, in promoting the innovations which address the bottom of the pyramid of the society. So people come with the professors launch different projects in their respective area, which has this alignment to this objective. In that, there is one course. So, and in that center, there are no master's student or undergrad students. There are only a few master's students, and a lot of postdoctorates are inducted. So, postdoctorate students work on these projects. One of the course, the course objective is to make them familiar, and if you follow that Bloom's taxonomy thing, apply the creative thinking technique, understand and recognize the important technologies in their respective fields of choice, align their work with the sustainable development goals, understand the business model, study the business model, and create the business models which integrate these technologies to meet the societal needs. So these are the primary objectives. On that, there is one single course, and that course is primarily experience sharing and field visit. So there are like 2-3 weeks of field visits and sharing by the different social entrepreneurs and different thought leaders in this space. So they help students to create that. So that's the only coursework in the Tata Center. So you can say the Tata Center, which is the innovation hub, has only one course which is very similar to what we teach in the social entrepreneurship. So that is one example. Second example is which I teach a course on organization development and change. In that, before teaching the individual level, team level, group level, organizational level, organizational process level change interventions, we contextualize this whole discourse in the towards the being socially responsible and responsible for the natural environment, because everything has to be aligned with that. So it's more like a compass, more like a pole star for the organization development and change process. So initial few lectures are on the social entrepreneurship, and rest of the other lecture, though focused on the different interventions, that becomes our guiding the light post about aligning these things for creating socially, for creating individual, groups and organization responsible towards social and natural environment.
Thank you, sir. Ganesh sir, could you also throw some light on the pedagogy that one uses in teaching social entrepreneurship?
Yeah.
Lectures, simulation and all is we commonly used in our MBA programs, but how do we separate this for social entrepreneurship, or what additional pedagogy do we use in social entrepreneurship, in teaching of social entrepreneurship, I should say?
Sir, we generally try to look at the design of the curriculum and the pedagogy from the point of view of learning outcomes. Of course, in our case, we do not directly use Bloom's taxonomy, but we use Indian traditional knowledge systems, which personally I believe is a far more powerful model of designing curricula and pedagogy than what Bloom's taxonomy has done. It's not a critique of Bloom's taxonomy. I'm only saying our own traditions have stronger foundations of taking students to very high levels of demonstrated learning. Anyway, I'll just very briefly tell you. We are very clear about whether we want to create stage one awareness in a student, and we mark the stages of awareness and the evidence of awareness through certain tests. Second, we take student to familiarity, but we must be clear that all students who are aware may not wish to go to the higher level of familiarity, which we recognize. That's an individual freedom, we respect that. But awareness creation, we welcome anybody. So awareness creation involves lectures, or as I completely agree with Ashish and Archana, I think they pointed out, field visits are an excellent mode of making the student learn the social enterprise setting, in terms of stakeholders, the transactions, and so on. A very powerful method, field visits. Entrepreneurship, I would observe that field visits personally should be a more significant component than what you would normally do in an MBA program. Okay, in a normal MBA program versus social entrepreneurship kind of a program. So awareness, then familiarity. The third level is understanding, where the student is brought to a stage, he or she is given this intellectual strengths to explain what's happening, not just describe. So they have to go into reasoning, justification, critical thinking, creative thinking. So different modes of thinking will come, So like that, so we take them to the third stage. So naturally the pedagogy there will vary, because there we are coming into what are known as intensives, group work, etc. See, in awareness and familiarity, we may not give too much of importance to group work, because our objective is to create awareness in the individual. A group work, if it happens, it's a bonus for us. Okay, but in understanding, group understanding is very important. I'm stating this because of a paradox that we all continue to live in. I've come across numerous situations where people are individually clear and collectively confused. It's very strange, actually. And people are clear that they are clear, but collectively nothing happens. It sometimes borders on the other thing, individually brilliant and collectively mediocre. So that kind of a situation we've seen in organizations. So that's why group understanding is very important. Then we take them through the next higher intensive in pedagogy, which is internalization. This is what we call as nididhyasanam, where the student is made to internalize the learning. That means the practice is done again and again and again. I mean, if somebody wants to understand this in a popular way, I would strongly recommend the movie 36th Chamber of Shaolin. If you watch that movie, you'll have fun. as to how internalization takes place. It's a very nice kind of a film. And then we take the student to the mastery level. Now, can a program take a student to true mastery? See, Dr. Bharadwaj sir, I'm sure all of us have master's degrees. Even I hold an MTech. But if you ask me honestly, am I a master of technology? I will bow my head and say, no, sir. I have the degree, but I'm not a true master by spirit, in terms of the technology. So, but we have to take them to the mastery level. And even in our knowledge tradition, there's something phenomenal, because it takes to mastery and stages of mastery. And the final stage is very, very interesting, in our knowledge traditions, which surprisingly silence, where the student doesn't work, but things get done. It's that kind of a very, 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 very high stage of spiritual attainment. Anyway, when I say spiritual, I'm not talking of religious or self-realization, etc., but some aspects. So this model is what we follow, and depending on what we are aiming at, whether it's awareness or familiarity or understanding or internalization, accordingly we moderate the curriculum, sir, and the learning experiences. Naturally, the total length of time will also increase as you increase the total learning content. So awareness I can do even in a lecture or two. That means basic awareness will be there. But familiarity I cannot do in a lecture or two. Okay. So for example, some of the best examples in India, Lijjat Papad, Arvind Eye Hospital, these are all classic miracle couriers in Bombay. These are all very well-known examples of enterprises that have transferred value. Now imagine a young person immersing himself or herself in these organizations and experiencing how the social values created and developed and distributed. That kind of a learning experience is very critical, but that means time. So we have to be very careful about the time-based design of our programs. This is what I would say.
Thank you very much, sir, and really honored to know how you have been using the Indian knowledge system to take a student from awareness level to practitioner level. Thank you very much, sir. I would like to go to Dr. Archana. Madam, Ganesh sir concluded by saying, we have to bring those aspects as far as the designing of the course is concerned. So, could you throw some light about what does a 2-year program look like? Okay, what's the broad framework of that program? Please, madam.
First thing, I will talk about the Center for Social Entrepreneurship that we follow here, the pedagogy and the whole structure of the program. So our whole 2 years master's program on social entrepreneurship mainly is the combination of 3 areas: society, entrepreneurship, and management. Because why? There is a logic behind it. Why society? Because the whole focus or the orientation of our program is to use the problem solving approach, social problem solving approach. And that's why students should understand society. So like Professor Ganesh was saying, awareness about the society and having empathy and to understand the problem from society's perspective, people's perspective who are experiencing. So that is the core of understanding of society, the understanding of the problem from people's perspective. Second is entrepreneurship. So when you understand problem from people's perspective and you understand society, how to use entrepreneurial process to solve that identified problem. And the third component is management, because for us, all the management for teaching is for our students is tool. So we see management as tools, whether financial management, marketing management, everything. Because in order to start the venture, you need all type of tools to manage your organization. So our whole MA course is MA program is a combination of these three: society, entrepreneurship, and management. Now, how it is differentiated, distributed among 4 semesters. Apart from these combination, our focus is on experiential learning. So the whole course 45% is fieldwork experience, 45%, and 55% is classroom learning. Our goal is to, in future, to make 50-50. That still, I mean, we are unable to do it, but that is our plan, that in future, every 5th year, we revise our course structure. And before revising the course structure, we all have brainstorming with different stakeholders involved, where our current students, the alumni, the different stakeholders, the practitioner, academicians, we sit with them, we discuss all these issues, we take our students' feedback very carefully and seriously, and then we revise every 5th year the course. So we are still in the learning process. Now, how these courses are divided and the field work. So when the students come from, see, it is social entrepreneurship is multidisciplinary field. So our students come from different disciplines. But I don't know, every year we recruit students from different disciplines, but majority of the students are engineers. It happens. I don't know why, but it happens. But otherwise, our students come from medicine background, law, arts, commerce, everywhere. And it is also very evident that not all the students have exposure to the villages. Many are born and brought up in the urban setting and privileged classes. So if you want to solve the problems of different strata of the society, you should have exposure to that. And for that, after first semester, we provide, we teach them all the theoretical lenses to understand the society. So classroom teaching may we only teach the societal perspectives. And after first semester, they have to spend 1 month time in the field. And this is the time where we don't give any guideline. It is completely the purpose of this field work after first semester is to understand society, to understand worldview. What is worldview? To understand the culture, the values of the society. I will give you very small example. For example, our students go to Jhabua, a tribal district in MP, for 1 month. They stay with them, they eat. Even if the people, if they practice open defecation, our students have to do it. Okay. So before going to the field visit, they have lots of apprehension. But when they come back, we evaluate on the basis of their reflection. So reflectivity is very important aspect of their evaluation. They understand that money is not the only criteria of happiness. So they try to understand. So for example, our students were just interacting with the women in Jhabua tribal area, and they said, you don't have latrines. If we will provide you, will you use it? Then women responded, even if you will provide us free of cost, we are not going to use it. So they said, why? So women responded, this is the only socialization time for us where we gossip. And at any cost, we don't want to miss this opportunity. So even if you are giving us free of cost, the latrine within our houses, we are not going to use it. So why I am sharing this example? Because this type of thing, then students understand. If in your solution, if you are not understanding the cultural, the value aspect of the society, your solution is not going to work. And sometimes if sanitation is a problem, but the people are not aware that it is the problem. So if something that as an educated person, you know this is the social problem, but they are not perceiving it as a problem, your solution will not work there. So in that case, your approach to address that particular problem will change, definitely, because they are not aware. First, you have to create awareness. So this fieldwork is mainly focused on understanding the world view, understand the world from people's perspective. Here, their purpose is not to focus on understanding problem, just worldview, their cultural, their context, their way of thinking, their way of living, their food habit, everything. And then when they come, we take their way, and then we teach them a technique problem mapping approach. This is a multi-dimensional approach, and we see that social problems, we teach them social problems are very complex. And in order to solve the problem, you don't need to get the root cause of the problem, because it is very difficult. So we tell them, we teach them to use problem mapping approach. Problem mapping approach is an approach where you try to understand a single problem from multiple dimensions: political explanation, economic explanation, technological explanation, political explanation, and many more. And then we use the entrepreneurship theory, which is developed by Saras B. Saraswati, effectuation theory, where the focus is mainly on experimentation with limited whatever you have and experimentation. And then we tell them to assess who you are, what you have, whom do you know, and then you match with your problem mapping approach and your these three resources, and then you decide your entry point. Then when this is done, they go for, after second semester, they go for 3 months pilot project. So this pilot is, we don't give them problem. They decide where to conduct, they decide what problem they want to address, and they really, I mean, experiment everything in these 3 months. Sometimes they fail, sometimes they get success. But this pilot evaluation is done by the faculty, not based on the success or failure of the project, but even if your pilot failed, what you have learned. So learning is the component. So this is the program where the student get opportunity to do experiment, get your hands dirty, and then learn even if you are failed. So you are not scared that if I am failed, I will be degraded. No, your marks is based on your learning. And then based on that learning, on third semester, we teach them management tools. Okay. And based on that, sometime when their pilot is successful, they register during third semester. And after third semester, everybody has to conduct research. Again, research should be based on your pilot experience, and it should feed to your venture creation process. So if your pilot is successful, many of them are in product or service case, so they conduct research on marketing. If somebody pilot is failed, they conduct need-based assessment study. So again, on the basis of their stages of success, they choose the research component. But the criteria is that it should feed to your venture creation process. They come back based on your research. Fourth semester, they should have, after fourth semester, they should have their final business plan ready. So that is the whole our pedagogy. So pedagogy is mainly the experiential learning. We invite lots of practitioners, and also like we give importance to technology, but here we lack, because technology is not something that is we are expert in. So in order to remove this hurdle, we have developed partnership with like IIT Madras, IIT Mumbai also we have some partnership, then Institute of Chemical Technology, we have partnerships. So whatever we lack, we try to collaborate with other organizations who are expert in this, so that in collaborative approach, the students can learn to solve social problems. So that is our approach. And then incubation center starts the incubation process. But again, there is no direct entry. It is competitive based. So if you compete, you will get the mentoring support under incubation center. That is our whole structure of 2 years master's program.
Thank you, madam. Thanks a lot. I think we got a very cross-sectional view about how this subject is actually taught during the 2 years. Amazing. I mean, anybody listening, we could actually replicate this model in our institutes. Thanks a lot, madam. I will now throw this discussion open to questions from the audiences. Anybody has a question can quickly ask. We have limited time. Yeah.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Myself, Assistant Professor Shivanand from KLE Technological University, Hubli. Just I want to add whatever I heard to Archana Madam about the 2-year course about that social entrepreneurship. Just I want to highlight what we are following in our university for undergraduates. So actually we are dealing with B courses in core areas like mechanical, civil, electronics, and biotechnology and all those things. So for all the UG engineering graduates, In first year itself, we are having one course of 2 credits that is called as social innovation, where we will be having a class strength of only 35 students, and we will be making teams. And for that one semester, for that one course, they will be going into field. Field means we will be identifying some around 20 to 30 villages around our college campuses. That is 20 kilometers from Hubli city. So they will be getting into the field for first 2 weeks. They will be identifying the problem, and we are using that human centric design approach for solving the social issues. So they will be getting a report finally, and you will be evaluating that. During complete course, we will be having different stage evaluations, like they will be presenting the issue, how they are going to solve it, and finally they will come for a solution either in the form of awareness program, or it might be a product. Then they will be implementing it. So this is our model, so that engineering graduates coming out from our university, that is KLE Technological University, they will be engaging with the society. They will try to understand what exactly are the issues, so that they can get the technology background after completing the 4 years course, so they can take up good projects and they can become entrepreneurs. So this is our model, sir.
Yeah, thank you, sir. You have any questions, sir?
No, sir.
Okay. Anybody else wants to ask a question to the esteemed panelists here?
Good morning, sir. Good morning, eminent panelists. I would like to ask Archana ma'am one question. Actually, Ganesh sir has brought a wonderful concept whereby he says that stage-wise learning should be there. Like first stage is awareness, then familiarity, then understanding, then internalization, and then mastering. Ma'am, this program that Tata Institute of Social Sciences is running, it's a wonderful program, Masters in Social Entrepreneurship. Do you feel in universities and in educational institutions, we should have the programs based on the stages that Sir has suggested, the Ganesh Sir has suggested? Because not all of them are, students are initially interested in the social field as such. So the first stage, awareness stage, we can have a short-term programs. It could be 1 month or 2 months programs whereby they just get an awareness about this thing. Then some certification programs could be there, like Tata Institute of Social Science, they have 6 months certification program. Now, then they like, is there a possibility whereby we can have since there is a master's in social work also, no, various other programs are also there which are related to this. IGNU has some programs on NGOs. Now, if we can have an umbrella or basket of these programs, you will have better number of students who are dedicated and who are sincere towards this field, and that way, we can have more students who can make a social impact actually. So, ma'am, what is your take on this, ma'am?
See, Professor L.S. Ganesh mentioned awareness, and then somehow I am finding the parallel between our program, Center for Social Entrepreneurship, and what he just explained. Because when I'm talking about the field work where we send our students in the field without giving any framework, I think it is awareness. It is awareness, because in the first semester we are just giving them perspective about different perspective theories of society, and then without giving any guideline, they go for their own experience and learning. That is where they get opportunity to spend time with the family in the same context in the tribal area. They get exposure to understand their problem, their way of thinking, their way of knowledge. I think that is awareness. So I think somehow I'm not using the exact same word that Professor L.S. Ganesh has mentioned, but I mean, clearly I am seeing the parallel between the process that they are following and we are following. But yeah, we have different. Now, coming to your question, I cannot say that we can have any universal or same type of program everywhere, because if you see in each and every college, the focus is different. So, but yes, what we can agree that yes, a social entrepreneurial approach should be taught everywhere. So if it is not possible, for example, in a different college where not social sciences college, but technological college. But definitely the student should learn social entrepreneurship, even if they don't want to start the. So I think we should not present or promote this course as that if you want to be social entrepreneur, then learn this. I think the positioning of the program should be different in different colleges as per the requirement. I think each and every student from all the disciplines should learn about social entrepreneurship so that they can develop empathy towards society. And whatever role in the future they are planning to, make in their career, they should be empathetic towards society and environment. Only then they can contribute to significant social change apart from earning a good money as well. Where is the harm? So I think we cannot have a universal type of positioning, like if we have, so because our purpose is to create a cadre of change makers. We don't have placement policy. We cannot have same policy for all the institutes. Now, how can we expect that? That is not possible. So I think it should be again contextual based on the requirement of the colleges. But yes, what I believe, it should be taught to all the students in all the colleges.
Thank you,
Yeah,
ma'am.
Dr.
Any other
Archana,
question?
Dr.
Yeah.
Archana, with the same line what you're talking about, what I was thinking, that we have various courses of PG diploma in management or analytics or the entrepreneurship and HR marketing. So what we do in our college, we do workshop kind of course for 4 days or for a week and for some experiential learning. That's what. But I would like to take some input from Ganesh sir and from you, that what we were thinking in our institute, what you have said, it's not important that we should create entire coursework, but can we start at least one core course in all semesters, one core subject, so that you can create engagement, you can create some knowledgeable understanding of the subject, and if they want, they can switch to this subject in a specialization. Otherwise, whatever they want to take job, they can go. So that's how we can create awareness, we can create environment, we can give them some ecosystem to understand the social perspective, environmental perspective, or cultural perspective in each semester. Semester 1 could be some introductory aspect of social entrepreneurship, social business. Semester 2, something else. So what I designed this program, so I told all the participants that first day was the first semester, second day was the second semester. So these are the glimpses of different semesters. That one day could be one semester, extensively one course
Nisha
subject.
ma'am, like you said, I have mentioned earlier also that again, it depending on the context of different colleges and university, you can decide to have. But what we are doing, see, even Master of Social Entrepreneurship is one of the program in TISS. It is not for everyone, but how to inculcate the same value in other students who are interested in. That's why I have developed a course on social value creation and social innovation, and it is there for all the students, all the programs in TISS as CBCS course, 2 credit CBCS course, choice based. Okay, like UGC, this is mandatory now. So we have, I have developed this course, and students from different programs like hospital administration and sustainability, climate change, different programs, women studies, everybody is taking, whoever is interested. So I think this could be one of the way of just introducing the students who are interested in. Just, CBCS, this is choice based credit system. This is 2 credit program. And I also invite in one of the session, I invite practitioner. And really I am getting very good response. And in fact, the students of health system studies, they said that because of this input, they could crack the interview, the placement of Narayan Hodhyalia, So
Yes, yes.
they see value in that, because this entrepreneurial approach is needed everywhere, whether they are even aspired to join corporate job or voluntary sector. But the value is very important.
Yes, Ganesh sir, your views. Ganesh sir, your views about this. How to take this thing to penetrate a students' mentality, I would say, or say perceptions about this.
Okay,
concept.
Nisha madam, we have time for one last question. If anybody
Yeah, yeah.
wants to quickly ask a question to any of the panelists here.
Hello.
Yeah.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, ma'am. Good morning, sir. Good morning, everyone. Myself, Kaushambi Chaudhary, AP Department of Management, Asansol Engineering College. Ma'am, I have a question to Archana, ma'am. Actually, we were supposed to, submit an assignment kind of thing of research proposal, and there, I actually thought I'm not a researcher because I'm very new to this field, okay, of research work and all. I just wanted to ask that, is it somehow possible to inculcate that which you told in the the course structures and the course modules and all in an institutional, means school institutions or something like that, means we already do have the social sciences and all. So other than that, if we inculcate that or consider the social entrepreneurship as a course subject from class 8th level, because those people will be involved into it, and the students can do even more better. And if I talk about the stages that you have told, yes, to give them away the knowledge of the first of the society, to meet up with the society, to then to have the needs of the society, to tap that, and then move towards the entrepreneurial level and the management level and all those concepts. I think what is your say, ma'am, on this, if we want to inculcate that on a school institution level basis as a core subject?
I think introductory session can be conducted. I think, and in fact, in many of the colleges, in fact, I went to Dharwad in one of the engineering colleges and delivered a lecture on social entrepreneurship. The only thing is, when you are delivering at the school and very 11th, 12th, or just engineering first level students, it should be based on, I think, the case studies. So you should present as just like the stories. So it should be based on the inductive learning. You show some stories, you talk about the case studies, and then build on that. And in that sense, we can introduce the concept of social entrepreneurship, even the school students as well. Why not?
Yes, ma'am, through experiential learnings and all those things, and in each and every standards, it was not that okay, as Nisha ma'am already told, that it is 3 to 4 days workshops and all the, okay, we are over with it. No, I'm talking about to maintain the practice of exercising all these activities throughout up till their 12th. Be it they are availing the science, be they are going for commerce, or be they are going for arts or something like that. That is my idea, ma'am. So what is your say? So that was my question only. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Yeah.
Thank you.
See,
Thank you,
yeah,
madam.
I already
Yeah.
mentioned that depends on you. We cannot have a same type of pedagogy and the structure for each and every where. So you can decide on it.
Okay,
Thank
thank you
you.
so much, ma'am.
Thanks a lot, all the panelists, Dr. Ashish, Dr. Ganesh, and Dr. Archana. It was really a grand session. I think I was expecting something, like how do we actually weave into our courses, but then we went much beyond that of what exactly is social entrepreneurship stands for today's generation. The best takeaway was that it should be part and parcel of teaching this as a course to everybody. In fact, taking a cue from what you said, I would really like all the subjects that we teach in a management institute to have one chapter on how exactly is this. For example, what is the role of marketing as far as society is concerned, or finance as society is concerned. So I think that's a great takeaway. We should make this as much relevant to the students who come in. And yes, compassion is another thing that we learned today. That is the basis of how exactly this whole social entrepreneurship is going to work. And uh, Thanks, Ganesh sir, for bringing to light the methods that you have been adopting there. Ashish sir, thanks for the the incubation thing that you talked about in IIT, and really it's given us a lot to chew on, and we hopefully would like to do this at our own level in our own institutes. So thank you very much. Thank you, Nisha madam. I will sign out right now. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you
sir.
so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Archana, Dr. Ganesh, Dr. Ashish Pandey, for giving your time, and just you have taken all of us in the next level of understanding of coursework, experiential learning, compassion, and inculcating compassion, and then calculate or judge the social aspect of a business or socially conscious business, or how to make people more socially conscious by inculcating some of the coursework or some of the practices Professor Ashish talked about, aim to flourish, and various case study, which I have already worked with our student about aim to flourish, and some case studies which our students are doing in our college about social aspect and various case studies and various experiential learning. So, but I hope with this session, Sandeep sir will also involve in this activity, and we can take it much higher stage as we are.
Absolutely, absolutely. I am inspired by this session today.
Yeah, yeah. So I think so. What you all three panelists have done in this 1.5 hour, that is tremendous. I really thankful to all of you for coming here, for delivering your experience and learning. Thanks a lot. I would look forward to associate with all of you once again whenever it is required. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can announce the next session, madam.
Yeah. So next session would be 11:45. So we will have a break of 10 minutes. 11:45 we'll have a next session. Till then, I wish that you should not log out, should be log in, and I can take few any queries or questions or any problem or related to assignment, anything which you have. I am here to solve your problem or any issue or any comment. I'm here.
Ma'am, one suggestion I just wanted to give away. So may I, ma'am?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, ma'am, I was thinking that just